Hey there, hi there, Scorpios, and welcome to your reading. So, I'm going to be incorporating your dreams, your love life, and your shadow energy all in one exclusive reading just for you, Scorpios. All right. So, first, I'm going to start with the Dream of Destiny Oracle cards, and I am going to choose a door for you. Okay. So, ooh. Okay, top of the deck, we've got the Door of Shadows, introspection, inner journey, unconscious integration. Perfect. Look at that. I love this door. Okay, it's a little eerie. Okay, there's a little bit of, shadowy stuff happening there. No, clearly. But not to worry, because this door basically, once you walk through it, you're going into the Citadel. Okay, and that's the next deck I'm going to be using, a fantasy oracle. Okay, and this will take you on a new journey through the gleaming city, experiencing new places, new people, and most importantly, new lessons to learn. Are you ready to take the next step on your journey? Pick up your bags, open the gates, and step inside. All right, let's go. All right, going into the Citadel. These cards want to come out of here. Okay, but yeah, what do we got here? What do we got? Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, there's a lot in here. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see what is going on here. Unconscious. You're probably having a lot of dreams right now about your shadow world and what your shadow energy is trying to tell you. So, let's dive right into that. Okay. Let's just get right into it. All right. Okay. Let's see. What? Okay. Okay, we have the Muse, generosity and naivety. And on each chalice here is a bird, a pomegranate, and a harp. Interesting. Okay, so that's probably, this is an emotional time for you. Okay, Scorpio, you're emotional being, you tend to lean more to the emotional side of things when in regards to your shadow stuff. So when you do have these dreams, you're definitely seeing how your feelings, I think, have I feel like they've been like suppressed, and I think that the reaction you're having is like you have been like overly generous lately with your energy and your time. I also feel like you felt like you were naive to a certain situation. The pomegranate is the high priestess, symbol there. It's one of them, right? And the high priestess is very intuitive. So your emotions are allowing you to be intuitive and to have introspection. The harp, I feel like that, you're very drawn to music right now. It's a way of expressing yourself. It's also a way of getting closer to your intuition and your feelings, because music is very symbolic and it can be very, it can release a lot of feelings. It's meant to be emotional, right? That's like the purpose of it, is to evoke emotion. And the bird, I think, is your way of saying, like, what are my spirit guides trying to show me right now? Like, am I meant to like go? I'm thinking of like in Game of Thrones when Cersei calls Sansa Little Dove, and it's because she sees her as this like pure, innocent representation of what like being young and innocent represents, and being like peaceful and calm. But she knows that like that changes, right? In the era that they live in, that innocence is lost. Okay. So what does this all mean? Okay. The puppeteer explanations. and apologies. Yeah, so if you're the muse in this situation, if you're somebody's muse, yeah, this makes sense. Okay. You're having dreams probably right now that you were being used, and I feel like exploited, honestly. Like someone here was like very generous with you, but I feel like their generosity was a way of keeping strings attached to you with the puppeteer energy. Okay. So they're like, oh yes, we'll be generous. We'll let you stay here, but we're going to have lots of strings attached. You know, like you're going to have like, it's going to appear like you have freedom from like the outside. But if anybody knows what's really going on internally, you're being controlled here. And that's probably what your dreams recently were showing you, is that you were like, I know I have like intuition here. I know I have, abilities here to, be successful on my own and to really, explore and be free here. But really though, you kind of got, I think you trusted someone when it was like appropriate and when their intentions were pure. But I think over time, like now you're like, where are the apologies, because I feel like, you've been like used. I feel like you're feeling like really used, and that's evoking these like strong like energies of like wanting to like, sever ties with that energy. Yeah, the vengeance, overcoming slights, and a choice. Okay, so this rope is breaking here, but these two hands, like I feel like you were the anchor here, but this other hand is still like reaching for you, like, and you're severing ties here though. You're like, I don't want to be this person's anchor anymore. I don't want to be this person's muse anymore. Like I feel like you were fine being someone else's muse. You were being someone else's like inspiration, and motivation. But now you've learned that there are so many strings attached now that you're like, I want to like cut that rope. I want to cut those ties. Like I don't want to be held down anymore by this person's energy. So it's good to be like the anchor when it's like you're not being like forced, or you're not being like used or manipulated into being that. And it's a choice, when it feels like it's a choice, then you're okay with it. But once those choices are taken away from you and you're not given a lot of options because you're dealing with someone here who wants to control you, okay, control your environment, control your choices, then you start to the shadow stuff, you start to get pretty pissed off about it. Like your ego is, we can say that the ego is something we're like really in tune with, but really honestly understanding our subconscious is only like it's only the like threshold, right? The actual going over the threshold and entering into the unconscious and entering into that world and into that realm. The only way we can really tap into that, which is where our ego is if we understand that we can't let our ego always make our choices for us. We can be fueled by vengeance, and we can be fueled by overcoming slights, and it is a choice though, and it takes you on a whole different journey and a whole different path. So you can stay being the puppet, right, Scorpio? But I know you. Once you realize how many strings are attached, you're like, okay, I didn't agree to that. No one agrees to that. That's why it's so like mind-blowing when you realize like I didn't agree to that. So how did that come to be? And it's only through our shadow energy, and it's only through our dreams and our visions and our introspection that we can start to see that. And you can't really fully grasp the whole like unconsciousness. Like you can't really like control your own consciousness. Like you can understand it, but that doesn't mean you can control it. So yeah, now we have the Patreon, mentorship and finances. Okay, so this has a lot to do with you trying to mentor someone where you're trying to be like the teacher, you're trying to be a leader by default. You know, you hold the keys here. The high priestess, she holds keys here to the truth, to the inner temple, to the inner world, to decoding, you know, like pretty much getting the blueprint out, you know, like figuring it out. Okay, that's what all those symbols and words and things are supposed to mean and represent. It's supposed to mean, and with the eye there, it's supposed to mean you're looking inward at yourself. You're doing this self-discovery here. And when you show up like that, and when you express yourself like that, you know, it is in alignment with Muse energy, because a lot of people around you are going to be very like intrigued by it. They're going to be very like, whoa, like awestruck by it. They're going to be like, whoa, what is that? What is Scorpio doing? Like, wow, they really got a lot going on there. And, you know, I'm just going to pull some more cards, honestly. The astronomer, discovery, Archery, yeah, astrology, astronomy. You're studying the stars, you're studying the planets. You know, you're understanding the blueprint to the universe and its plan for you, Scorpio. You know, and you're very intuitive. And this is really why you're not really like expecting explanations. You're not expecting apologies from the puppeteer energy, because the puppeteer doesn't apologize. The puppeteer doesn't have accountability. That's why they're the puppeteer. That's what makes them like the villain of the story. You know, like everyone wants to say, well, you know, Scorpio, you know, you're the villain or you're the bad guy or whatever. No, you are the one fighting back against control, against the Sailor, new influences and wanderlust. You know, there you go. You're fighting against those who want to, you know, I don't want to say like, I want to say like they want to, it's just, it really comes down to control, like, and taming you, like taming your wild, raw energy that you've learned to master yourself, and you've learned to channel into mentorship, into finances, into discovery, into a choice, into apologies, into generosity. Okay, and they're trying to exploit that and turn it into something negative, and that's why you're setting sail here. You're getting on a new ship, you're going on a new journey, a new discovery. You're not like, you know, you're setting sail across the vast universe, you know, like an astronaut or something. You know, you're like exploring new worlds, you know, think of Star Trek. You know, like you are joining up with a team and a group of adventurers and explorers. And that's really pissing off a lot of people, Scorpio. So you're getting a lot of feedback through your dreams, via your dreams, on why you're like, the universe is like pretty much like die and be reborn. Like cut the ties, sever the ties, break the cycle. Like, you know, rise again. Cut the rope that was anchoring you to this certain person that was trying to control you, and set sail on a new adventure with a new ship, with a new group of people that actually want to explore and be creative and be adventurous and see the world right alongside you or with you or whatever, you know, like similar energies. Okay. The acolyte, new projects and learning. Yeah, the acolyte. And there's the scroll. The high priestess carries a scroll and carries the keys. You've been given the gift. You've been given the reward. You know, now I say that word so weird. I don't know why it's so hard to say it. Reward. But yeah, like you've been given that, like your permission slip, you know, to like go forward and move forward with, you know, a whole new perspective. Okay, because what was happening before is like you were trying to get along with, I feel like, in terms of like this puppeteer energy. I feel like in terms of this person who was trying to like anchor you down. I feel like you've been given that sort of like, you know, whole new just experience that's been, you know, really eye-opening for you, and telling you like you can't make these people believe in you. You know, they're not meant to believe in you. And that's a really hard thing to hear, and that's a really hard thing to accept, because you basically signed an agreement probably a long time ago, years ago even, that you were like, I'm going to be one with these people. Like, I'm going to be part of the team. And they used your beauty and your innocence and your like peacefulness and your calmness. They used it to slowly tie things around you and tie and put strings attached to you. And then one string they pull and you're like, what? I didn't agree to that. And then you're like, the universe is like, hold on a second. Like, you know, we got your back, Scorpio. Don't worry. We're going to cut that rope. In fact, I think the rope just snapped, to be honest. I don't even think, like, you know, their tension was so much that eventually the rope just gave way. Because I feel like they kept anchoring you and, like, placing stones even, like, on you, like, metaphorically, of course. But I feel like they were like, let's build our foundation. Let's start our new foundation by placing stones on Scorpio, by placing weight on Scorpio. And it was very tied to emotions here. Very tied to emotions here. Okay, so that being said, okay, now we're going to go into Alice in Tarot land. And I'm going to pull some cards here because I want to understand, like, the love connection. Okay, because with this new ship that you're going on, with these new influences, with this new wanderlust, this sailor, setting sail here, you know, this is going to bring in some new love for you as well. So let's see what this new love is all about. Whoa, okay. A lot of cards flew out here. Oh, okay, there we have it. The High Priestess. Yep. There's your book. There's your papers. There's you ready to go. There's no more fighting this whole idea. And there's the pomegranates too. There's no more fighting this whole like principle of thought or idea that you can't be yourself, or you can't express yourself in the way you like to, or you can't be who you were born to be. That was something you learned through this, you know, epic journey of, you know, getting into your shadow work, getting into your dream work, all of that. And through that, you learned what is important to these people, what versus what is important to you. Comparing like values, you know, in comparison to values and hard work. And you know, you're not saying like, okay, well, you know, there weren't, you know, positive things. Okay, in fact, there was a lot of positive things about this love connection. Okay, but the high priestess is coming out and saying like, yeah, but it's time to leave that world behind and go and venture off into a new world. Okay, because you already learned all that you can learn. It's just like another episode out of like Star Trek or whatever. You know, in one episode they meet, you know, a certain group of you know, aliens, and you know, there's some lesson that occurs, and you know, the captain and Spock and all the crew, they, you know, learn to work together to overcome. Usually there's like a villain character that's trying to control them and keep them there as like slaves or something. You know, it's usually the like I want to say it's like the algorithm for those episodes pretty much, or sometimes it's even on the ship itself. There's, you know, like a illness breaks out or something and they're trying to figure out the cure. You're like, it's really like you're not like you're now the captain of your ship. The high priestess is like the captain of her own ship, and you want sailors obviously on the ship with you and a team backing you up. And now you're in charge. You're choosing the team. You're the CEO. Like, you're the captain now. Whereas before, you were letting someone else steer the ship. Okay? And now you're like, no. Yeah, Three of Pentacles. Okay? Yeah, Alice is the queen now, right? Like, you see her on the table pointing at the stars. It's very... it's like another door, you know. It's a door to the astronomy, the stars, the universe, exploring, learning more, collaboration, the card of collaboration. You want to work together and collaborate with other artists like yourself, other astronomers like yourself, other, you know, patrons like yourself, other sailors like yourself, other acolytes like yourself. Okay, you're done aligning and being an alliance and being, or not being, but like trying to be collaborative with a team that's just like so like anti-Scorpio, and that's not fun to be around, and you don't deserve that. Okay, so yeah, the Ten of Swords, exactly. These people betrayed you. They betrayed your trust. Okay, they hurt you. So you have to separate yourself from them. You have to sabotage with them. And look at this. We've got the devil at the bottom of the deck in the tower. Now is the time. Now is the time to break free from them. To break free from, you know, all the chaos and monstrous behavior that came your way. And you're probably even having dreams of like devil energy, you know, and the tower. Like, you're probably having dreams of falling from this tower. It's not so much like a fall. It's more of like, I need to get away. Like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Like, you don't want to be in that place anymore. You know it's going down. You know that ship's going down. So you're like, I'm going to get off the ship, you know, like Titanic, right? It's like, I know this ship's going down, so I'm going to get in a boat, right? Before anything else happens, you know? And then there's going to be those people that are like, oh, why didn't you stay on and like die with everybody else? And you're like, because I don't have to. Like, what? Nah. Five of Cups. Yeah, there's something really poetic about you separating yourself. Like, this is the turtle that's been stabbed, or the tortoise that's been stabbed right in his shell, but you have a hard shell, you know, and you know, Scorpio, you can get through it. You can move through it. And it's going to be sad. There's going to be tears. There's obviously going to be sadness and heartbreak over it, because you really want it to be around these people. You really wanted to feel loved by these people. You really wanted to feel protected from these people. But they can't even protect themselves. They've already given up. And it's not your job to fix them. And it's not your job to protect them. It's your job to take care of yourself and protect yourself. And that's why the High Priestess is so important, because it's the intuitiveness that they tried to say, you're not intuitive, Scorpio. You don't know anything, Scorpio. You've seen more in this world and experienced more reality and more hardships than they've ever experienced in their entire lives. And you're younger than most of these people. And, the people that you're like older than, even more reason why they should trust your intuition and trust your wisdom and your God and your, mentorship here. But they don't, and they refuse to do so because they don't want to believe that you're the leader here. They don't want to accept it, because then it would mean that they're at fault for something. When it's really like, no, it's just, this is why the universe is like, introduced me to y'all. But if you don't want to respect that, and you don't want to believe that, follow the signs of the universe, then okay, bye, adios, amigos. And you set sail, and you get on a ship, and you go off, and you start exploring the world with people who actually get you, okay? And through that experience, you're going to feel more valued, you're going to feel more love, you're going to feel more appreciation, and you're going to be able to express yourself freely without fear of control, without fear of, being manipulated and, used and all that, because these people don't want to use you. And that's what the devil is. The devil is, that controlling mechanism that a lot of people revert back to. And that's how you're probably seeing that appear in your dreams. Okay? So when it comes to love, and it comes to what your heart is telling you, it's telling you, go be with the other astronomers. Go be with the stars. Follow your heart path. Okay? I just did heart path readings. So Scorpio, check that one out as well. That focuses a lot on your love life and the energy you want in your love, in your heart, in your love. The energy you want in your love life and in your heart, and how you feel loved and how you express love. And it's through working with people that actually care about what you're doing and actually love what you're doing that you're going to feel the most peace and the most love. Okay, and
Mommy.
All right, so I'm gonna just grab a couple of these Mystic Whisper cards real quick for you. All right, there, Scorpio. So finishing up your reading, we have Blessed Bounty. All right, and harvest growing in soil or gratitude. We have physical healing. The body is a river. Let the current cleanse it. And emotional healing. Okay? Tears are rain, nourishing the soul. All right? So, you can cry as much as you need to and let all the emotions just run freely, because it's just been such a huge emotional time for you, and then we have here, nourish your body, priestess. Your body is altar, revere. Exactly. It's time to nourish your body. And that goes into an alignment with the High Priestess energy that I pulled for you, Scorpio. So just keep nourishing your body, keep practicing self-love and self-care and self-respect and setting those boundaries for yourself. I know it can be hard, and I know it can definitely be an emotional thing, because you've been dealing with some people who you've given so much energy towards, and you've received so little in return. But now is the time for all that to stop, and for you to start prioritizing love for yourself again, and focusing on what you need to do and what you need to accomplish. All right. Love and light always. Thank you so much for watching, Scorpios. Take care now. Bye.